Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending some of your day with me. And we're going to be talking about how to formalize a game plan to go bass fishing before you actually get on the water. And what I wanted to do in the video today, I sort of want to go through the process that I go through that's worked pretty good for me over the years, and hopefully it'll help you guys catch some good ones also. Before we get started, guys, quick reminder, just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. We're just about 900 people short of getting 20,000 subscribers. Really looking forward to hitting that goal, so much appreciated. And also, guys, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and just shoot me a private message there. And one final thing, guys, just wanted to invite everybody to please check out all the big sales that Tackle Warehouse has got going on right now for fishing, for getting ready for fishing this summer. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description too, guys, if you want to use that link and bookmark it for your tackle purchases. That's a big way to help the channel. And thank you very much from me and my family for everybody that's doing that. We really appreciate that. Okay, one of the processes that you can go through to actually help yourself on the water and to help find bass quicker is to formalize a game plan before you go out. And sort of want to talk a little bit about how I do that. Now, here's the process that I go through. Really, it doesn't matter if I'm on a lake I've never been to before or if I'm a lake that I'm familiar with. One of the first things I do, especially if I'm not real familiar with the body of water, is I get on Google Earth and I pull up the Navionics web app on my computer, and I try to get a feel for the lake. And the thing that's cool about the Google Earth is you can see water clarity changes, structure. You can go back in time and see different water levels. It's a really good resource to familiarize yourself with the body of water. And the Navionics app will show you contour lines and stuff like that. So that's really easy to do on your computer. Next thing I try to do is I Google the lake that I'm going to, and I try to find any latest fishing reports. Now, I'm not really looking for areas or information when I Google these fishing reports. I'm trying to get a vibe for the stage the fish are in. So a lot of times there are going to be people that post on a specific lake. They could be guides or just recreational anglers or whatever. And by reading some of that stuff, it sort of gives you a good idea of sort of like the stage the fish are in. If it's pre-spawn, spawn, fall time fishing, maybe gives you an indication of some of the techniques that they've been using. Obviously, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because anytime that you're reading something on the internet like that, you know, it's not going to be 100% true. So just sort of like, you know, throw that in there as a consideration. Next thing I do, once I sort of get a vibe for that, is I look at the weather forecast for the day that I'm out there. Now, the weather forecast is really important as far as to understand, you know, the cloud cover you're going to have, light intensity, wind direction, wind speed, temperature. That can give you a big indication on the techniques that are going to be, you know, really working good based upon your weather pattern. So say, for example, if you and I were going fishing at Table Rock Lake tomorrow, if it was supposed to rain and be cloudy, I'd probably plan to catch them on a topwater or spinnerbait. If it's going to be sunny with not much wind, we'd probably have to do some flipping or go to some stained water or maybe fish deeper. So that's going to give you a good indication of the game plan. Okay, the next thing that you do, or what I do anyway, is I want to narrow the lake down to a manageable size, because on most lakes, unless you're fishing something that's like, you know, less than 20 or 30 acres, you can't fish everything in a day. And a lot of the lakes we have in the country are over 10 or 20,000 acres, and you can't even touch a fraction of those lakes in one day. So one of the things I like to do is, once I assess the seasonal patterns and the conditions that we have, I determine what I think is going to be the best part of the lake to fish in. Prime example, guys, like if we're fishing in the wintertime, you're always looking for clear water. So in the wintertime, I'm going to be concentrating on the lower end of the lake. That's where I'm going to be spending my time at. In the summertime, I like to fish shallow, dirty water. So I'm going to be in the back of the creeks and up the river arms. So the time of the year and all that is going to give you a big indication of what part of the lake that you're going to fish. And once that you do sort of have an idea where you think those fish are going to be, pick one part of the lake and make that your lake. If you want to, you know, fish, for example, you know, shallow water in the backs of the creeks, and it's a dirty water situation, you know, pick a couple big creeks, you know, maybe one or two, go to the back end of those, You know, if you're fishing up in the river arm, try to concentrate on that upper 1/3 of the river and just try to narrow down that particular lake to a small bite-sized chunk. And then with that, sort of determine the techniques that you want to use based again upon the weather. Pack your techniques and try to focus on your techniques based upon, you know, the water clarity, the water level, the water temperature, everything like that, and stay with it. It's like if something's not working, a lot of times it's not working simply because you don't make a commitment to it. And you can't do everything. It's like you can't pack every lure that you own, and you can't pack every rod that you own. You have got to narrow it down. I usually try to have no more than 5 or 6 rods on the deck. I'll have maybe 4 or 5 different baits that allow me to cover the area that I want. And then I spend my time searching for fish with those techniques. And one of the ultimate things that you have to realize is that sometimes you make the right decisions and sometimes you don't, and that's okay. Because if you make a decision, say for example, that you want to go flipping and you're focused on catching them flipping, the adjustments that you make while you're flipping can come in like the lure size, the lure profile, the lure color, the type of structure that you're flipping. So you can't just say, I'm going to go flipping for an hour, and if I don't get a bite, I'm going to give it up, because there's a lot of things you can do within that technique of flipping to maximize that technique. But anyway, guys, that's just a few of the basics, the way that I prepare, you know, to go fishing for a day. It's worked pretty good for me. And realize also, guys, that fishing is not easy. You know, for most public body waters, unless you're on a private lake or something, it's usually tough to catch fish most of the time. Be kind to yourself. Realize that if you have a bad day, you're not alone. Everybody does. That's just part of fishing. And just use it as a learning process. You know, whatever successes or failures you have the day that you're on the water, just sort of accept that and learn that, and, you know, file that away in your memory bank before, you know, you go out on your next trip. So, you know, guys, hope it helps out. We'll talk later.